Welcome to the Evangelism Podcast. I'm Daniel King, and I'm excited about telling people about Jesus. Today I have a very special guest with me, Jonatan Proietti.
Yes.
And he is the Latin American coordinator, director of the Global Network of Evangelists.
I am.
The group of evangelists, which is under the ministry of Luis Palau. And I have the honor of serving on the cabinet of the Global Network of Evangelists along with you. And I've been hearing so much about what God is doing here in Latin America among the evangelists. Thank you so much for being on the Evangelism Podcast. And tell me, what is God doing?
Daniel, thank you for having me. Thank you for this time. It's an honor to share here. And yes, we are, by the grace of God, serving the Lord, directing the Latin expression of the Global Network of Evangelists. You know, God gave Luis a vision to serve all the evangelists after him. We call the Latin expression, the Spanish expression, Nueva Generación de Evangelistas, which translates a new generation of evangelists. This is the same, but we changed the name. And the Lord gave Luis that vision, and he gave us the way of doing, like the model, and it's to raise a network of evangelists in each city, coordinated by the local team. So thanks to the grace of God through the Luis ministry and my dad's ministry for many, many years, faithfulness, confidence, and all that, we know people. So we can go to them and say, hey, this is the vision. This is what God gave us, and we want to serve you. What do you think? To the the alliances heads and leaders and stuff. So they embrace the vision, and they help us find faithful people, that evangelists, pastors, leaders that can take this vision and just serve in their country, because they know their culture, they know the people, they love their people more than we might love them. They know them. So who would be best to serve them than them? So we invest in a local team, we coach them, we guide them, and we help them serve their evangelists. So that's what we do. We affirm, we equip, we mobilize, and we identify evangelists all over the Hispanic world in that way.
And you are perfect for this. You are from Argentina.
I am.
And of course, Brother Luis Palau was from Argentina. And today we had the opportunity to go to a historic spot.
Yes.
We are in Bogota, Colombia. And so we went to the presidential palace. We saw the Senate House. And right in front of the Senate House, there are some steps, and then there's a big plaza there. Yeah. And it was in that place that Luis Palau did his first big crusade back in 1966. And I'm a student of evangelism, of the history of evangelism. In fact, I did my doctorate, and we studied some of the history. And I remember seeing the picture of Luis Palau standing on those steps, and he's he's out there preaching the gospel. He's young, and he's preaching. But from right here in Bogota, Colombia, the ministry of Luis Palau went all over the world. And in Latin America, of course, everyone knows who he is, and he's done crusades and festivals in almost every city all over Latin America. And your father actually was connected with him, very instrumental in helping to organize the events here. So talk to me a little bit about the partnership between your father and Brother Palau.
Well, they were intimate friends, best friends. They were that good friends that they went to be with the Lord in the same year, with 6 months different, in 2021. So yeah, we were here, everything started for Luis in 66.
Can you imagine what a time they're having in heaven?
Yeah, right?
I'm sure they're sharing stories. Yeah. They are so excited.
The only thing you can't do in heaven is evangelism. So
they have no job. This is the real retirement.
They dedicated their whole life to evangelize. What are they doing now, right? Who are they burdening? So Andrew Palau was born here too in 66. And 52 years later, 2018, Andrew Palau and a servant, because I interpreted for him in all his Hispanic events, were in that same plaza preaching the gospel
Wow.
to a lot of people. So that is history, and that is amazing, and that is a privilege. But coming to my dad, he joined the team in '78 when the Luis Palau Evangelistic Association formally started like that. So we can say that Luis and my dad were together for, when everything started formally for them from the very, very beginning. And they were so good, great friends. My dad directed the ministry for the Latin world. And when I was born, I was born breathing evangelism in my house.
You were born into the ministry.
Yeah, right. Like, a Christian and the LPA, Luis Palau Association. So I came formally and full-time and officially to the team in 2018. I'm an accountant, and I had a work on that, but always in the ministry and always wanted to serve the Lord full-time. And I never imagined that this was going to be the call and how he would do it. So yeah, it's 43 years together, my dad and Luis.
That's one of the things I so love about the Palau ministry is this legacy of ministry that extends across decades. And the longer I'm in ministry, the more I think that God honors faithfulness.
Yes.
And Brother Palau was faithful, your father was faithful, and then God is also a generational God. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yep. And so it's so neat now to see Kevin Palau and Andrew Palau taking up the baton.
Correct.
And you also
I am.
taking up the baton here in Latin America. What a privilege to continue to serve the Lord for the second generation.
Yes.
And I believe for many generations to come, we will see God do amazing things.
It's a privilege. There are pictures of my dad and Luis and me and Andrew, and they say, oh, you're taking on your dad's steps. That's a lot, I sometimes can't just get what that means, and I'm just praying the Lord and just saying, Lord, what do you want? Make me humble, make me also all the time look for you, and just have that intimacy with you to all the time understand what I have to do and how to do it. But yes, the future looks amazing, and that's a privilege.
They say that God has no grandchildren, he only has children. Mm-hmm. And so every generation has to choose to serve God for our generation.
Yeah.
And our generation has so many needs. Things are changing a lot here in Latin America right now.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do is to raise up a new generation of evangelists. Yeah. We need many different expressions of evangelism in order to reach people in this day. Mm-hmm. And so let's talk more about what you're doing to raise up evangelists. Mm-hmm. We're here in Colombia. Mm-hmm. You've gathered together people that have a gifting of evangelism. How many people approximately here in Colombia?
That we know, we are counting 200 plus.
And so these are people that they have a calling, a gift for evangelism on their heart. And sometimes evangelists, they have a heart for evangelism, but they don't quite fit into the church. The church doesn't quite understand them, and they need the fellowship.
Yes.
And I think God is actually raising up Latin America in a new way. Mm-hmm. That Latin America is going to send out missionaries. Amen. God told me years ago that the mission field shall become a mission force. Years ago, Latin America was considered a mission field, but now there are stronger churches here than sometimes in America.
We're experiencing that already. Last year we were in Manchester in the UK, and we gathered the Latins there. There were a few, not much, and they were saying, the Lord called us to the land that first came to us and gave us the gospel. So we are coming back to just, to do with them what they did with us. And that was amazing. I was crying, It was a bunch of Latin people from different countries here. And that's happening. That's happening. I love that. The Latin field is now Latin force.
The mission field shall become a mission force.
it's happening. I mean, the Lord, by His grace, is using us to enlighten the rest of the nations and just to bring them back to what it was, their ancient glory. So I'm seeing it. My generation is witnessing it.
Now, the Palau team just did a great event in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What happened in Costa Rica?
That was amazing. I mean, you can just see the pictures. I mean, thousands of people. The church in Costa Rica is really unified. I mean, we got surprised of how they worked and how they served and came together. And that's pretty much the festival means. I mean, we don't go if we don't receive an invitation, and the invitation needs to be reflected in unity. Because if not, there's no festival, because there's no unity. And that's the key, that's the secret sausage of salvation. You know, John 17, Jesus asking for unity, but He's not asking for unity, He's asking for the lost. And you know, the unity is a mean to salvation. And that's what we do in festivals. In Costa Rica was amazing. Buenos Aires was in November last year.
Tell me about that. That's your hometown.
Yeah, and that was the first festival without my dad, and without Luis.
Wow.
And after pandemic. So it was the first one in many
Were you a little
aspects.
nervous?
Oh. We were like, this needs
Jesus,
to go.
please help us.
Bring them, Lord. Breathe them from.
Yeah.
And it was a blast. It was amazing, and we saw a lot of harvest. Yeah, the Lord is good. The Lord is good.
That's awesome.
It was a sign of, you know, supporting. I mean, from Him. You know, without Luis, without my dad in Argentina, the leadership there is a great, but you know, is complicated in some ways. You understand what I mean? I'm from there, so it was. So the Lord, with a lot of other things, is saying, you know, I'm here. This is not a name thing. This is not some people thing. This is my thing, and I support it, and I'm with you. And that's what we saw. And then Costa Rica came after, and that was another great success. And we'll see that's what we're seeing.
That's so awesome that the Palau team is continuing to invest in Latin America. And Brother Palau was so loved here by so many people. Yeah. And now a new generation has come.
Amen.
But I believe that in our day, we will see just as great a harvest, and even a greater harvest.
Yeah. That
the evangelists of the past only dreamed of. Mm-hmm. I think the greatest harvest of souls in history will happen in just the next few years. Amen. Amen. And I believe that God will raise up an army of evangelists all over Latin America that will have a heart for evangelism, a heart for reaching people. And so I'm so excited about what you're doing. I pray for God to give you wisdom to bring the right people alongside to help. And what would you say to evangelists? Maybe someone is listening, they're in Latin America and they want to get connected to the GNE. How can they get connected to the Latin American expression of the GNE?
Yeah, you should come on board. I mean, we all need to be together. We need community, and we make a great emphasis in community, having relationship with people alike that have the same challenges, but also the similar strength and abilities, and you can share with them, and they understand what you're thinking, what you're going through. So come on board. We are trying to go to every country and just raise an army there, a network there where you can feel good, and you can just maximize your efforts for the kingdom. Website www.ngepalau.org. Social media at NGE Palau, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And when you go to the website, go to a place called Community NGE, and you can just fill a form. It's quick, it's fast, and you can know where the other ones are. Just get connected, get in touch with us so we can serve you best. Don't waste this opportunity to be part of what God is doing, and we are so blessed with this.
Well, Brother Jonah, thank you so much for being on the Evangelism Podcast. It's so great to have you together, and it's so good to be here in Bogota, Colombia together. And I'm excited to see what God will do raising up evangelists here in Latin America.
Thank you,
God
Daniel.
bless you.
It was an honor. Thank you, brother.
Daniel King is on a mission to save 1 million souls a year, but he can't do it alone. Would you consider sowing a financial seed today? To give, please visit www.kingministries.com.